Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Piper Laurie, a legacy of depth, strength, and unforgettable performances. Piper Laurie, born Rosetta Jacobs on January 22, 1932, in Detroit, Michigan, was an actress whose career spanned more than 7 decades and left a lasting mark on American cinema, television, and theater. Known for her emotional intensity and commanding presence, she brought rare vulnerability and quiet strength to every role she portrayed. Laurie became one of Hollywood's most versatile performers, equally at home in melodrama, psychological horror, romance, and experimental art films. Early life and Hollywood beginnings. Laurie grew up in a Jewish immigrant family and faced a difficult childhood, including frequent moves and health challenges. These hardships led her to develop a rich inner world and a deep emotional sensitivity, qualities that later shaped her powerful acting style. She signed with Universal Studios in the late 1940s while still a teenager. Throughout the 1950s, Laurie appeared in a series of studio films, often cast in light romances or adventure pictures. Although she worked steadily, the roles rarely matched her talent. Feeling creatively constrained, she took the bold step of leaving Hollywood, moving to New York, and focusing on theater and live television, choices that would redefine her career. Breakthrough and acclaim. Laurie's triumphant return to the screen came in 1961 with The Hustler, starring Paul Newman. Her role as Sarah Packard, a troubled writer battling loneliness and addiction, earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. Her haunting performance remains one of the film's emotional anchors, sensitive, restrained, and deeply human. After The Hustler, Laurie again stepped back from Hollywood, dedicating herself to family life and exploring artistic pursuits outside of film. When she returned in the mid-1970s, she shocked audiences with a performance that became iconic. Carrie in A New Chapter in 1976, Piper Laurie starred as Margaret White, the fanatically religious and abusive mother in Brian De Palma's adaptation of Stephen King's Carrie. Her portrayal was chilling yet layered, combining terror with pathos. Laurie received her second Academy Award nomination, this time for Best Supporting Actress. The role cemented her status as one of cinema's most compelling character actresses. Continued success across decades. Laurie continued delivering critically acclaimed performances throughout the 1980s and 1990s in both film and television. Highlights include Children of a Lesser God, 1986, earning her a third Oscar nomination, Twin Peaks, 1990-1991, Unforgettable as the Sharp, Scheming Catherine Martell, The Promise, The Bunker, Dune, and Return to Oz, demonstrating her range across genres. She also enjoyed success on stage, appearing in numerous theater productions and earning accolades for her presence and emotional depth. Personal life and philosophy. Laurie was known for her independence and insistence on artistic integrity. Her memoir, Learning to Live Out Loud, revealed a woman who fought to escape Hollywood's limitations, overcame personal traumas, and found empowerment through art. She was married to film critic Joe Morgenstern from 1962 to 1982, and they had one daughter, Anne Grace. Legacy. Piper Laurie passed away on October 14, 2023, at age 91. She leaves behind a legacy defined not by celebrity, but by craftsmanship. Her journey, from Hollywood starlet to serious actress, from early limitations to late career triumphs, continues to inspire performers seeking authenticity and emotional honesty in their work. Laurie's characters were never simple. They were wounded but resilient, fierce yet fragile, mirroring the complexities she embraced in her own life. Few actors have evolved so boldly, and even fewer have delivered performances as unforgettable. A rebel in the studio system, Piper Laurie's early years at Universal in the 1950s were marked by both opportunity and frustration. The studio system often shaped young actors into marketable personalities, and Laurie, talented, introspective, and not naturally drawn to Hollywood glamour, felt confined by the image crafted for her. Publicity teams arranged photo shoots of her posing with ice cream cones, swimming pools, and puppies, promoting her as a wholesome ingenue. But Laurie had a depth that the roles didn't match. She privately studied acting, gravitated toward literature and poetry, and nurtured a serious artistic ambition. Recognizing that she would have to take control of her career to avoid being trapped in superficial roles, she made one of the rarest and bravest decisions for a young actress at the time. She walked away from Hollywood. Her departure signaled that Laurie was not simply a starlet, she was an artist determined to define her own identity. The stage and television. Finding her voice in New York, Laurie immersed herself in the world of live television drama and theater. The 1950s, golden age of television, gave actors a chance to perform complex material in intimate, emotionally raw productions. Laurie thrived. She appeared in acclaimed episodes of Playhouse 90, Studio One, and the United States Steel Hour. Working in these live productions honed her instincts. She learned to trust silence, to allow small gestures to carry emotional weight, and to approach characters with empathy. These experiences profoundly shaped her later work, giving her a subtlety and depth that distinguished her from many of her Hollywood contemporaries. The Hustler, a defining role. Laurie's performance in The Hustler, 1961, remains a towering achievement. Her character, Sarah Packard, is delicate yet defiant, depressed yet yearning for connection. Laurie approached the role with an understanding of emotional nuance that few actresses of the era were permitted to display. Her scenes with Paul Newman are charged with quiet intensity. Sarah is written as a tragic figure, but Laurie gave her dignity and intelligence, transforming the character into one of the most memorable women of early 1960s cinema. Her Oscar nomination for the role affirmed what critics had long suspected: Piper Laurie was far more than a studio-engineered starlet. She was a serious, uncompromising performer. A career reborn. Carrie and Beyond. Laurie's return to mainstream audiences with Carrie, 1976, was electrifying. She initially hesitated to take the role, believing the film was too bizarre. Some accounts say she even interpreted it as dark comedy. But once filming began, Laurie embraced Margaret White with an unsettling ferocity. Her performance, part religious zealot, part broken woman, became one of the most iconic maternal villains in horror history. Her physicality, voice modulation, and intense stare made Margaret unforgettable. The role brought her another Academy Award nomination and introduced her to a new generation. This second wave of her career was marked by bold, diverse choices, as Catherine Martell in Twin Peaks. Laurie showcased dry wit, mystery, and a playful theatricality. In Children of a Lesser God, she embodied a rigid yet emotionally complicated mother, earning her final Oscar nomination. Her role in The Grassharp, Hound Dog, The Faculty, and numerous TV films demonstrated her ease in shifting between genres and styles. Laurie's late career was defined by fearlessness. She never repeated herself and never softened her characters. She embraced complexity until the end. Personality, craft, and artistic philosophy. Those who worked with Piper Laurie often described her as uncompromising in her pursuit of truth and performance, private but warm, with a sly sense of humor, deeply intelligent. Using psychological insight to shape her roles, courageous, both personally and professionally. Her memoir, Learning to Live Out Loud, revealed her personal resilience, including her struggles with trauma and her determination to overcome the constraints placed on women in the entertainment industry. Laurie believed that art should be honest, even when that honesty is painful. She did not care about fame or image, she cared about authenticity. The final years and enduring influence. Even in her later decades, Piper Laurie continued to act with passion. She appeared in independent films, mentored younger performers, and participated in artistic communities that valued creativity over commercial success. She passed away in 2023 at the age of 91, leaving behind a body of work that continues to inspire actors who seek depth rather than stardom. Her legacy is not just the iconic roles she played, but the examples she set. That an artist can walk away from the spotlight, return on their own terms, and redefine a career with integrity and courage. Conclusion. Piper Laurie's life and career form a remarkable narrative of independence, artistic evolution, and emotional power. She defied Hollywood expectations, reinvented herself multiple times, and created characters that remain vivid decades later. Few performers demonstrated such range. Fewer still balanced vulnerability with strength so authentically. Piper Laurie was, and remains, one of America's most quietly revolutionary actresses. Behind the roles. Piper Laurie's method and artistic process. Piper Laurie approached acting with a seriousness and introspection reminiscent of stage performers rather than mid-century Hollywood stars. She had little interest in celebrity. Instead, she pursued emotional truth. Her technique leaned heavily on 1. Deep psychological exploration. Laurie often built a character from the inside out. She studied human behavior, personal traumas, and internal contradictions, not just the script. She believed every character's motivations had to come from a real emotional core. 2. Controlled physical presence. Her performances were marked by stillness, deliberate, powerful stillness. Laurie used subtle facial changes, breath, and posture to communicate complex feelings. This restraint often made her explosive moments even more impactful. 3. The power of silence. Few actors understood silence the way Laurie did. She could hold a moment with just her eyes or a small shift of expression, making even quiet scenes vibrate with tension or sorrow. Directors who worked with her often commented that she never wasted a gesture. Her relationship with Hollywood. A battle for creative freedom. Piper Laurie's story is also the story of an artist resisting the limitations placed on women in the industry. The 1950s. Breaking the mold. Universal tried to market her as a conventional sweetheart, arranging publicity stunts and lightweight roles. Laurie disliked the artificial glamour and once said the studio treated her like a piece of property. She found creative restriction suffocating. This frustration pushed her to retreat from Hollywood, an extraordinarily rare move for an actress in her 20s. The 1960s and 70s, reinvention. Laurie's return was always on her own terms. She accepted only projects that resonated with her inner life. This selective approach gave her a filmography filled with depth rather than quantity. Her role choices often defied expectations. She played misfits, complicated women, and figures of emotional turmoil. She was uninterested in being likable. She cared about being real. Unforgettable moments in iconic performances. The Hustler. The bathroom scene. One of the film's most famous scenes shows Laurie's character writing a desperate note on the mirror. The mix of resignation and defiance in her eyes is a masterclass in minimalistic acting. Many critics consider it one of the finest performances in early 1960s cinema. Carrie. The final confrontation. Laurie's portrayal of Margaret White reaches operatic intensity in the climax. Her body language, rigid yet eerily graceful, gave the character a terrifying religious fervor. Laurie once joked that she played the role as if it were a comedy, which unintentionally made it even more disturbing. Twin Peaks' Catherine Mertell's schemes. Laurie embraced the surreal, eccentric world of David Lynch with gusto. Her portrayal of Catherine, sharp-tongued and cunning, became one of the show's most entertaining elements. She even disguised herself as a man, Mr. Tojimura, in Season 2, a twist that shocked viewers and showed Laurie's playful side. Stories from directors and co-stars Paul Newman admired Laurie's ability to play against him with a mixture of vulnerability and strength. Their chemistry in The Hustler was rooted in mutual respect. Laurie once said he made her feel safe enough to take emotional risks. Brian De Palma praised her instinctual understanding of Margaret White. On set, she would sometimes remain quiet and centered until the camera rolled, creating an almost spiritual intensity. David Lynch enjoyed giving Laurie unpredictable material because she handled it with both seriousness and humor. He called her fearless and one of the great chameleons. Awards and honors. Though she never won an Oscar, Laurie's 3 nominations, spanning 25 years, placed her among cinema's most respected performers. 1961 Best Actress, The Hustler. 1976 Best Supporting Actress, Carrie. 1986 Best Supporting Actress, Children of a Lesser God. She also won a Golden Globe for Twin Peaks, numerous Emmy nominations, several critics' awards across decades, lifetime achievement recognition from film festivals and acting organizations. Her career longevity and consistency were widely admired. Personal courage and private battles. Laurie's memoir revealed difficult truths, childhood struggles, personal trauma, complicated relationships, and the emotional burdens she carried while working in an industry known for exploiting young women. But she emerged from these experiences stronger, building a life defined not by victimhood but by resilience. Her decision to step away from Hollywood at the height of her early fame reflected her desire for autonomy. She later said, "I had to find myself before I could find my characters." Cultural impact and feminist legacy. Laurie's career has been reassessed in recent years, with critics recognizing her as a pioneering figure, a woman who consistently refused to be objectified or restricted. Her influence can be seen in later generations of actresses who value challenging, emotionally complex roles over mainstream popularity. Laurie, simply by choosing integrity over fame, helped carve a path for more authentic female storytelling. A legacy written in emotion. What sets Laurie apart is not just her roles, but the emotional honesty she brought to them. She portrayed wounded people with dignity. She expressed inner pain with subtle brilliance. She made villainy human and tragedy intimate. She allowed herself, and her characters, to be flawed, raw, and unforgettable. Her work continues to resonate because audiences recognize something real in her performances, a compassion for the broken, the misunderstood, the quietly suffering. Further exploration of Laurie's life, craft, and cultural significance. A life marked by reinvention. Laurie was not merely an actress. She was an artist who reinvented herself at least 3 distinct times. The 1950s ingenue trapped in the studio system, the serious dramatic performer of the 1960s and 70s, the character actress of extraordinary depth from the 1980s onward. At each stage, she resisted the expectations placed upon her. Where many actresses struggled to break free from early typecasting, Laurie tore down her old identity and rebuilt a new one.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.